Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reading a Washington Post article titled, "How the Right Embraced the False Claim That Hillary Clinton Spied on President Donald Trump." And there's one thing that the article overlooks. Michael Sussman was indicted because he did not tell James Baker at the Bureau that he was paid by Trump's direct political rival. The question that the journalist doesn't answer in this fact check, so this article is meant to fact check, not anything to do with the Durham probe really, but the furor or the outrage that Trump was under surveillance. And there's also an issue with accuracy, because part of the surveillance took place after 2017. So most of it perhaps took place before 2017, but some of it did take place while President Trump was in the Oval Office. But basically, it's about how conservatives embraced the false claim that Clinton engaged in surveillance of Trump. The question, though, is that why did he lie to the Bureau, allegedly lie? The Washington Post doesn't address this. Nobody does. Does anyone know why Michael Sussman, who was paid by Clinton, did not tell James Baker at the FBI that he was working on behalf of Trump's direct political rival? Obviously, if he had told, according to Baker, at Baker's testimony, government official who was almost certainly in on it, along with Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, all of them, Kleinsmith, he did not. The indictment is for one, for lying to a government official. They found out, under oath, that Michael Sussman did not tell the truth. He was being paid by Clinton. Okay. He then told James Baker, the top FBI legal counsel, that he was just basically giving information about Trump because he was a good citizen. The indictment explains that, the government was duped and they only accepted the information because they thought that he was being a good citizen and worried about national security, and not because he was being paid by Clinton. The questions the Washington Post and CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or Rolling Stone or any publication that will oppose the Durham probe, the questions that they ask that they will not answer are the following. Why was Clinton paying Sussman? Forget about right now why he lied to the Bureau, allegedly. Why was she paying Sussman? Why did she pay Glenn Simpson? Why did the DNC pay the third-party tech firm? Or why did Clinton and the DNC pay Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele? Why is there a money trail? Where's the money trail from Trump to all these companies developing a narrative or writing dossiers on Biden or Clinton? Oh, that's right, it didn't happen. He's impeached on an ellipsis, and Madam Secretary and the Democrats can go ahead and pay people and then have them wield a narrative to give that narrative to government agencies to then set up and frame Trump. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We are over 194,000. We're over 194,000 subs. And I'm just reading from public, very reputable Washington Post articles and the indictment. I urge everyone to read the Sussman indictment, the Igor Danchenko indictment, the Kevin Kleinsmith indictment. Read the 3 indictments. People have been indicted specifically because of actions or breaking the law that pertain to setting up and framing Trump. Okay, people were indicted in the Mueller probe for process crimes. They had no interaction at all with Russian intelligence officials. They never broke any laws pertaining to working alongside the Kremlin, which is exactly why the Mueller probe was started. Okay, the reason Trump was indicted was never, justified or legitimized by any of the indictments. Then the Mueller probe would say, gosh, there was no evidence. There was just no evidence at all of anyone who worked with Russian intelligence officials. There wasn't even a campaign violation evidence. There wasn't anything. And here you have people lying to FISA judges. So here you have also, there's one inaccuracy from in or about July 2016 through at least in or about February 2017. 2017, Trump was already in office. However, Originator 1, Researcher 2 also exploited Internet Company 1's data and other data. He was already in office February of 2017. So this Washington Post article makes a point, and this is on page 11 of the indictment. The Washington Post article makes a point to say, well, all the shenanigans were done in 2016. No, they were done in 2017 also. This is paragraph E, page 11. Paragraph E, page 11. If you're bored, read the Michael Sussman indictment. Okay, James Comey, McCabe, Clapper, they should all read the indictment because the factual the factual background, which is what Sussman tried to kick out of court, was upheld by the federal judge recently. And federal judges do not want to, judges in general, do not want to accept or even entertain the notion that government officials were acting with a corrupt motive. That's what the federal judge stated when he upheld the factual background. He said, look, the factual background is going to be litigated in court anyway, and I'm not going to assume that Durham has any corrupt motive in making things up. That's why it's so difficult now also, because for Durham, he has to make sure that if he does indict, when he does indict government officials, that he has a case, an airtight case, where he can prove that they went after Trump because of political motive. Now, you could already do that with Peter Strzok. So, Durham has everything he needs with Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok stated, we'll stop Trump. But from in or about July 2016 through at least in or about 2017, February 2017, Originator 1, Researcher 2 also exploited Internet Company 1's data and other data to assist Tech Executive 1 in his effort to conduct research concerning Trump's potential ties to you-know-who. Allegations that Sussman would later convey to the FBI. So Sussman eventually gave information obtained after in or about February of 2017, and guess who was president February of 2017? Trump. So they were, yes, going after Trump while he was president. But what people don't ask is the following. Why did Clinton pay Sussman and hire Fusion GPS and hire Glenn Simpson and hire Christopher Steele, obtain a Steele dossier because she paid for it? What was the purpose of exchanging money? When you buy something, do you buy something for a purpose? To utilize whatever it is you're buying? Yes, of course. Well, the Washington Post and MSNBC's Joe Scarborough and others can't possibly admit is that they purchased the myth. They can't possibly admit that because they truly believe that Trump was installed by the Kremlin. Why? Well, because there were intelligence reports, but these intelligence reports offered no evidence other than high to moderate confidence. Now, what they do is they say, well, that's not true. We spoke to this person. And again, an appeal to authority. Now, appeals to authority when it comes to intelligence assessments are not really appeals to authority. It's really hilarious too. Years back, an appeal to authority was not really a wonderful argument. You had to, you could, it's valuable perhaps when you're talking about history. ancient history or 20th century history, or, when you're talking about, it could be valuable when you're talking about certain subjects, but it's not valuable when you're talking about recent, like the past couple of years, from intelligence operatives that set up and framed Trump. That's not, well, we spoke to this government official and they said that the government was justified in investigating Trump. Well, why? Well, because the intelligence community was very, very worried. So what? The intelligence community has been politicized. You think they're apolitical? If they were apolitical, why is Brennan always on CNN? Or why was he always on CNN and MSNBC and Clapper? And why are all these publications giving these former intel officials just the most wonderful coverage? You never see GoFundMe stop an account for any of these individuals, but you better believe that organization will stop any account that is linked in any way to conservatives. So everything in life has been politicized, and I was watching Bill Maher and Ben Shapiro the other day, and Bill Maher has a great show, and he's slowly understanding how dysfunctional the Democratic Party is. But even he uses the word, I just think Republicans are dangerous, more dangerous. And it's like, that is not the word to use when it comes to politics. I've heard that word before. And it legitimizes or it justifies an apoplectic response to politics. But one thing Bill Maher is doing that's great is that he has a show that, kind of circumvents the topic of politics, where people can just talk about who they are and all that, and that's great. Their likes, dislikes. Okay, that's fantastic. But he said, politics is so important to people nowadays. Actually, the reason that politics is so omnipresent is because when Democrats lost in 2016, the entire establishment, when I say establishment, think of all the institutions, think of all the industries that are directly influenced by the Democratic Party, okay? The Democratic Party has a foothold on pretty much everything you see, from Hollywood to government institutions to the culture in general, a large part of the culture in general. Maybe not the entire the United States, but the question is, when Democrats lost, they lost it when it comes to politics. They disowned friends because they couldn't stand losing political power and influence. So then everything became infused with politics. That's why Jimmy Kimmel can't have a show without disparaging Trump and Republicans. That never happened with Johnny Carson. And that's taken place in our society because Democrats lost. It goes directly to Democrats losing power, and to Democrats also influencing government agencies and deceiving, lying to tens of millions of people that Trump was installed by another country. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Nobody will ask basic, simple questions like, why did Clinton and Democrats purchase these Steele dossiers?